Hashtag never CNN. Don't watch CNN. CNN's a garbage network for the garbage people, spewing garbage. I'll watch so you don't have to. But the rest of them, too, ABC, CBS, NBC, all of the alphabet soups, they will not report on this because the modern transgender movement doesn't allow it. They don't allow it. The modern transgender movement is engaging in activity that is, whether intentional or not, radicalizing young people to the point that they're taking up arms and they're killing people. In Aberdeen, there was a mass shooting, transgender person. Colorado Springs, Colorado, non-binary. Denver, Colorado, transgender person. There was a case in Iowa in which someone who, I think they call themselves gender fluid. That happened a couple of months ago. And then, of course, right here in Nashville, Tennessee, it seems odd to me, and I don't know if you feel the same way or not. We'll talk about it. It seems odd to me, just odd, that there is so much dissection into what goes through the minds of the individuals responsible for these mass shootings in the United States of America until you reach a place of discomfort for those who are controlling the narrative within the mainstream media. When you reach that place of discomfort, all discussion stops. Oh, as long as it's a straight white male, oh, no problem. We'll talk about how they were influenced or corrupted by MAGA talk, how they were influenced or corrupted by, white nationalism or whatever it might be. That's on the table and fully acceptable. But when it comes to psychotropic drugs, the pharmaceutical industry, the transgender radicalization movement, those things are untouchable. You can't talk about those things. Watch as this story that happened over the weekend will fade into the woodwork because of the nature of the individual involved. Oh, by the way, they're also Hispanic, and the report that I saw was that this person was in the country illegally.
Did you mention the Pulse nightclub, too? In Orlando?
I did not mention the Pulse nightclub.
That's
another one.
Fluid.
Yep, that's another one. I mean, on and on it goes. The list is getting lengthy enough that one would think that reasonable people would want to talk about some connective tissue between these issues, but no, not so much. Not so much. Before I get into that, and before I get into Joe Biden, I do want to mention this. And I don't want to harp on it because I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I think it is worth highlighting as it occurred over the weekend. In the midst of the media trying to fumble and bumble their way through figuring out how to deal with Joe Biden and the ultimate decision-making on the part of the prosecutor in the Joe Biden case not to prosecute him because, Joe Biden doesn't know what the hell's going on, wouldn't know his butt from a hole in the ground, couldn't find it with a compass and a flashlight. In the midst of all of that, the media was fumbling and bumbling and wallowing over themselves, trying to figure out a way out of it. And they eventually did by attacking the prosecutor. Suddenly, our Department of Justice is corrupt. Suddenly, our Department of Justice doesn't know what they're doing. Suddenly, our Department of Justice is out of their depth. Suddenly, these hot takes were not good enough for the mainstream media. Suddenly. And we'll delve into the Joe Biden infirmity in a moment and talk to you about how difficult it is to even watch anymore and how the political left is figuring out, right? I promise you the powers that be are trying to figure this out. They don't think, let me give you my quick hot take on it. They don't think that they can skip Kamala Harris. But they know the political poison that is Kamala Harris. I hate to put it this way, but it is a fact. Kamala Harris does not have the excuse of mental infirmity. She's just not very smart. So we'll get into that in just a moment. What I said about Donald Trump over the weekend, I want to bring that up real quick because I think it's important. If you missed it, Donald Trump was at a rally over the weekend, and Donald Trump began questioning where Nikki Haley's husband was. Now, once again, this is not something that gets me off of my faith in Trump. It does not move me or shake me in any way as to who I am supporting in 2024. It's pretty obvious. I support the policies and I support the presidency of Donald J. Trump. I support the candidacy of Donald J. Trump. That does not mean that he does not do things that I have concern with. And I bring this up for two reasons. One, not so much to condemn Trump, but more so to reiterate to you that it's perfectly okay and acceptable to have disagreements with a sitting president or a candidate for president and still support that candidate. We can continue to support something broadly and at the same time suggest that some aspects of that thing could operate better. As I did over the weekend, I gave some examples because apparently some don't understand that. Because what I did after he did this, after Trump came out and questioned where Nikki Haley's husband was. And what this was at a campaign rally. And then, where's Nikki Haley? Where's her husband? Where's the husband? He's not around, is he? I don't know where the husband is. He's staying far away. He's staying far away, he said. This was, and I don't pretend to be inside of the mind of Donald Trump, but this was obviously a vague allusion to the infidelity claims that have been made about Nikki Haley. There is a claim that Nikki Haley has been unfaithful in her marriage. But most did not get the connective tissue. Most did not see past the fact that Nikki Haley's husband is serving in the United States military overseas. So you're handing a win to the mainstream media that desperately wants to talk not about Joe Biden, but wants to trash you. And that was my take on it, is that this is unnecessary because it is punching down. Nikki Haley is not a threat to Donald J. Trump. So what I said was, and I stand by what I said, is that I cannot for the life of me understand why Trump would steal the Joe Biden train wreck news cycle and replace it where's Nikki Haley's husband. Sometimes it's not 4D chess. Sometimes it's just dumb. And I think that's fair. And I got trashed for doing so. Because God forbid anybody have any disagreement with Donald Trump about anything.
You're being disloyal.
And I'm not being disloyal. As a matter of fact, I would suggest that my loyalty goes so far as I'm willing to call the baby ugly when the baby is clearly ugly. Which is what I did. But you can agree with the entire thing. You can support something broadly and still be frustrated by certain aspects of that thing. I support air travel, and I hate the TSA. I support car travel, and I wish that Nashville would fix the freaking potholes. Because I hate the potholes doesn't mean that I'm going to stay away from my car. I support Bloody Marys, but hate it when you put celery in it. Don't look at me funny. I'm an olive man. Or okra.
All right, that's acceptable.
Or okra. I support Gladys Knight, but I've never had anything for the Pips.
You need to shut your filthy mouth.
Well, I mean, I understand that there's a line that everybody has to draw in the sand. I do not understand why it's so difficult, and I'm going to bring this up, and trust me, it does me no favors when I do it, because people will not listen to what I'm saying. As the late, great Uncle Phil Valentine used to say, there are Van Goghs out there. I need you to hear the entirety of the argument. There are some that would suggest, oh, you're trashing on Trump. Or no, I'm trying to make him better. And I don't know why it's so hard for my fellow Trump supporters to accept that he is not perfect and that every so often he screws up. And that's fine. And I think this tact of going after Nikki Haley's husband or talking about, I think it's a mistake. Number one, Nikki Haley is zero threat to Donald Trump. She is 0.00% threat to Donald Trump. So you are, by definition, punching down. Number two, regardless of whatever vague point we're trying to make on this, whether it's infidelity or whatever, it sounds like you're going after somebody who is in the military. Plus, if there is a broader point to be made about infidelity, I don't know that that's where Donald Trump wants to go. Do you? I don't know of all of the things that he could criticize Nikki Haley over, I don't know that infidelity should be the one that he goes for. Okay? Number three, you give the mainstream media a hall pass to stop talking negatively about your opponent, Joe Biden, which they desperately want to do. They want any story on the table that will give them an opportunity to stop talking about the Department of Justice, stop talking about the report, stop talking about his mental infirmity. And they want desperately to focus negative energy on you, and you're giving them an opportunity to do that. Number four, you're also giving a free pass to what we discussed in the first hour, and that is the two-tiered deep state Department of Justice that decides that one rules are for thee and one rules are for me. Joe Biden has one set of rules and another set for Donald Trump. None of this changes my support for Donald Trump, obviously. I don't think it's that big of a deal, and I think, thankfully, it's been somewhat overshadowed by a lot of other things going on this weekend, including the Super Bowl, frankly. My fascination is more in how people react to observational comments by someone like me. And the suggestion, no matter how long I've been in Camp Trump, I could walk you back to 2015 when I said two things. One of them was exactly right and one of them was exactly wrong. These are the first two things I said about the candidacy of Donald Trump. And I can chart it back to the day that I did it. I said, this guy is magnesium. He will burn brighter than any political figure in modern history, and he'll burn out. That was comment number one. Half of that one was right. Half of it was completely wrong, obviously. And number two, and this one was dead on, ignore this man at your own peril because he's going to change politics in the modern era. And that one was exactly right. But no matter how far I chart back my support for Trump, there are some Trump people that would tell you that any negative comment or any comment perceived as negative about our fearless leader is heresy. And so we no longer talk about whether or not it was a political misstep or a political mistake. Instead, we challenge my bona fides because I have a difference of opinion. And as I said on social media over the weekend, this is America. Don't act like a damn cult. We can disagree about a moment in time and still broadly support the man and the mission. And I will continue to do my part in that regard.